5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Brad and I are here, and it's been a last-minute change to proceedings, hasn't it, Brad? Because it was supposed to be a prediction show tonight, which is going to be pushed back to tomorrow night, and we'll see who's going to be on that one as well. But unfortunately, something big happened today, didn't it, while we were all getting ourselves organised? And Leicester have been deducted 6 points, everyone. It has finally happened. The EFL have finally done what they've been threatening all season, and it's come on the 5th of February, 2026. But before we get into reading the statement and all the rest of it, let's launch off by saying hello to my co-host tonight with the most. Brad, I think it's the first time me and you have ever done a show one-on-one together, mate. How are you?
Well, I mean, I'm all right, mate. And yeah, this is probably I think this is the first show. It's just been me and thee on it. Look, we're going to get straight into this. Obviously, you're going to read the statement out in a minute. It's kicked up a mixed bag. Obviously, we've had the jibes off the six-toed lot from Bottom Tree FC. Bottom and top of the league isn't for everybody. Giving it all the large. I've got family at a COD fan, so whilst I throw jabs back, it doesn't actually bother me if they say shit towards me. But I thought I'd point that out in case they come flooding in here, which they no doubt will at some point. I don't know about you, Tom. This will probably cause some difference of opinion, and maybe those in the chat get your thoughts in on this situation. For all the talk, 10 points, 12 points, 20 points, according to Rob Dorset, was what the Premier League were pushing for. I'm almost doing fucking backflips at 6. I am. The only thing I have the frustration with this, Tom, sorry, just to end it so you can actually get a word in edgeways, Mr. Host. I have been saying this for a while. Why are these things not treated like a transfer deadline day? You have until the end of August to charge a club for one solitary count of all their counts, whatever it was, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. They should have got it, and we should have started the season on -6.
I couldn't agree more, Brad. And it's funny, you've stolen my thunder a bit, mate, because my defence to no doubt the argument I'm going to say later was in the same place of, like a transfer window, there should be a week at the end of the season where it's all sewn up before a season starts. Because the interesting thing is, I mean, we're going to get into this more, but just a brief thing. If we do appeal it, it could mess up the entire end of the championship season, this, because the appeal could extend beyond the time where they want to ratify the final league places. So it's a bit bizarre to me that. I do agree with you, bud.
Well, yeah, it's weird because it's taken what feels like. I know there was that if you maybe take the relegation and promotion season out of it, where they couldn't charge us because that's how we found a way out of the last charge. Was the wording in their own rules with the makers of our own downfall because we forced them to word it properly, which I know. People need to realise as well, there's no such thing as a loophole. People don't write contracts and actually go, we'll have a little loophole just in case anyone reads it all so they can get away with it. No, we exploited the wording of the contract. You might call it stingy. I call it great business. Sol Goodman would be proud. If you're a Breaking Bad fan, you know who I'm on about.
It's no different to Chelsea, is it? I mean, Chelsea and Man United, all these clubs just seem to move yard posts to get around it.
Yeah, and I think, they're also their golden children, aren't they? The favourite 6, as I call them. But for me, I kind of just want this done now. And I want this to draw a line under it, Tom, where we're not in this position next summer, where we're not in this position 2 summers later, where the FA kind of go, we're done with you. But what I was saying is, it's taken probably the good part of 7 months where they could actually touch us. That sounded wrong, didn't it? Where they could actually effectively charge us and prosecute us for our wrongdoings, as it's been deemed, with 6 points being deducted from us, because of the whole wording of that one, we got away with it sort of thing. Yet, I remember when Forest and Everton had similar points given to them. Now, I believe, if I remember rightly, Everton had 10 and then got it reduced to 6. But the appeal was, we've heard your appeal, there's your answer. So why was the appeal 2 weeks and a decision was made where Forest got rejected and Everton got theirs knocked down from 10 to 6, but it took them, because theirs was like November, December time as well, wasn't it? I know ours is a month and a bit later than that, but it's like, how come it took you 7 months to come to a decision, but it took you 2 weeks to decide whether their appeal was worth it or not? I throw that out to them as well.
I definitely concur with your frustration on there's not a standard, mate. I'll quickly read, mate, and get your highs and lows in the chat, guys. We'll get through your messages, and I'll say hello to everyone in a minute and lead all that. But for the moment, let's just read what they've said here on the official EFL website. I
thought I'd bring in Chris because he's too busy on holiday, so I'll let Chris pretend he's here for this statement reading, mate.
I was going to say, how have you done that? Have you stolen a laptop of his or something? That's brilliant.
No, so
mate.
because of all the login thing with that, I think because it thinks I'm him, my avatar isn't me anymore. It pops up as Chris. So
there you go.
Don't ask. I don't know it.
Chris is very good at being away at a time when something happens. Hope you're enjoying your beer, mate, as we improvise for you. So the statement, guys, the EFL notes the decision of the Independent Disciplinary Commission, that's hard to say, isn't it, appointed under Premier League rules, which has confirmed that Leicester City FC breached the profit and sustainability rules in the 3-year reporting period ending with the season 23-24. At the end of the show, we must also talk about the next year after this, because that's a big one as well, talking about hangovers. On consideration of all relevant factors, the Commission has recommended a deduction of 6 points. The EFL board has met to consider the decision and determined that the sanction should be applied to the Championship table with immediate effect. Now, like you say, it's interesting, isn't it? Let's get some hellos a minute here. Evening, Scott. Hope you're doing well there, bud. Evening, Clibo. Well, is this kick up the arse of squad knees? Well, we're definitely in the relegation battle now, mate, because we've got the table as well. And obviously, we're only outside the relegation zone on goal difference. So that's great. Evening to you as well there, Paul. And get your thoughts in the chat here, guys, as well. But yeah, what's interesting about this is, I mean, from my maths of it, Brad, it suggests to me that we failed by 20.8 million is what the number is, right? Yes. By the rules of the Premier League and EFL, 6 points doesn't actually seem enough of a points deduction for what that total is. I think it tallies at somewhere in the region of 3.4 million per 3 points or something along those lines. So in some ways, it does make me wonder, like, how this has come about. If the EFL believes that we are going to appeal, because the club statement, which we'll get to in a bit as well, seems to suggest we might appeal this. Is there a worry, Brad, do you think, that if we appeal this, the deduction could actually double from 6 to maybe 12 and make the problem worse?
Naturally, you will worry about something like that. There is... Yeah, it's Thatcher's, not a sponsored plug. Unless it's changed, unless the Thatcher's Gold revolt has ended, it's probably a pint of Thatcher's Gold. For me, no. And the simple fact of the matter is, you know, maybe to a degree, Leicester's defence lawyers have helped drag them down in drawing. Sorry, I've got hiccups. Oh, there we go.
It's all right, mate. Leicester have that effect on people when these things happen.
Maybe Leicester's defence in drawing up a defence and sending it off and kind of stalling it as best they can, you know, is the reason it's taken so long itself. But I think now this is serious business where, first of all, the decision has been made that they believe that Leicester have broken the rules. They have that. And it should be done with immediate effect. Well, if you're saying what happened to innocent till proven guilty, surely there's not a reins on Leicester to be able to appeal this outcome. Surely it should be a case of the EFL pending an appeal period, 30-day grace, whatever it is, will implement a 6-point deduction to Leicester if Leicester fail to appeal the decision presented to them and the outcome awarded or given to them via this investigation. Yeah, and then they say, basically what we're saying is we've come to a conclusion from the evidence presented by the Premier League that you will get, and the evidence you've presented to us, Leicester, that 6 points is the deduction mark. You now have 30 days, 28 days, whatever the limitation is on it. Maybe it's 2 weeks, I don't know. You now have that amount of time to appeal the decision or accept it. And if you appeal, a decision will be made and the ban may be upheld, or we may reduce the sentence or whatever if we feel your appeal is successful. Almost like going to HR and appealing a decision on a dismissal or something. You can't just say, oh, you've got 6 points, but you can appeal it. Because Clibbo puts it up there. Imagine we do appeal it and someone goes, yeah, actually, reading this section of it and reading what Leicester did, they're only over by this many £1 million, so they should only get a 3-point deduction. And then, like somebody finishes 4 points off us, they'll go, well, if Leicester had them extra 3 points, we would have stayed up there and gone down. When reality should be, no point deduction should be given to a team until absolutely nothing else can be done about it from either side.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, it's chaos, isn't it? I mean, look what happened with the Everton situation. Everton ended up playing compensation for Burnley, didn't they? Giving Burnley money because Burnley argued the points deduction when it was applied was incorrect and it caused them a relegation, similar to what you're saying there, Clibbo. Yeah, so I think it's very murky waters in, the rules in general. Let me just read the Leicester statement here, guys, to everyone, just so you can show how the club has reacted to what the EFL has said. From today, it is with disappointment that Leicester City acknowledges the independent commission's decision and the club will use the time available to consider its next steps. We have got a bit of time before we have to submit an appeal. While the Commission's findings significantly reduced the unprecedented scale of the sanction originally sought by the Premier League, believed to be about 20 points, guys, the recommendation remains disproportionate and does not adequately reflect the mitigating factors presented, the importance of which cannot be overstated given the potential impact on our sporting ambitions this season. That is critical in this. We appreciate the Commission's agreement with the club's position that compliance for football year 24 should be assessed over a 36-month period, an important point both for the period in question, but also in providing the club with certainty on its PSR, PNS compliance for football year 25. The panel also agreed there was no aggravating factors which should be applied to the sanction, which is something the club had maintained throughout, and acknowledged the club demonstrated a positive trend in its finances in football year 24. We're now reviewing the decision in full, considering the options available to us. We remain committed to engaging constructively and ensuring that any action is fair, proportionate and determined through the appropriate processes. It was mentioned also in the chat here by coming off the back of that statement by Paul, the one thing that struck me about the club statement was there was no acceptance that they'd done anything wrong, which is worrying. I mean, Brad, where do you sit on this? I mean, the club has been run badly. I mean, I don't think any business spending 106% of its income is going to have a very happy ending. I think that was a little bit extensive. But you could argue clubs like Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest having to spend to similar levels to remain competitive as well, right? So how much of this is on the club, Brad, do you think? Do you think, because if we hadn't gone down, 20 million seems we would have passed with the TV revenue, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the club's never going to take full ownership of the decision made. Forest didn't. Forest thought they were wronged and probably still argue that they were wronged. If the thing is, if any club goes up there and goes, yeah, we were wrong, well, yeah, we broke the rules, then they're going to say, well, okay, then if you broke the rules and you've just admitted it, that's an admission of guilt. Actually, we're increasing it 20 points. That's just going to happen because that's how the big money billionaires will operate. If you go into court and, to put it ridiculously, if you go into court and you're going up for a heinous crime, I won't name any because I know YouTube flags it up, so I don't want to say any heinous crimes you could be doing that might flag this video up for whatever reason.
Try and keep it PG, mate.
Yeah, you go in there and your lawyer goes, well, you're going to get away with, I'm going to say a word that sounds like it, clam porter and not birder, right? You're not going to turn around and go, actually, yeah, I did it, officer. There you go. I actually did the blurder. Make sure you give me the full punishment. I take full responsibility for what happened that evening. No, you're going to sit there and go, yeah, okay. Realistically, you're going to take the 6 years in that place where all the bad people go, and you're going to go, okay, I get slam border, if you know what I mean, charge instead of a blurder charge. See, Chris, I'm doing my best for you, mate. I know
you sound like you're Cockney rhyming slanging, mate. It's beautiful. Carry on.
I'm on it. I'm great, aren't I? But my point is, Leicester are going to say, well, we actually think we didn't do anything wrong. We pushed the boundaries, but the club ultimately do have to take the blame. They really do. And I am in that camp. I've seen a few people saying, where if you really look at it, I don't think Leicester do anything. I feel like Leicester will look at it. I'm sure they will. They will go right to the last hour before they decide whether they can lodge the appeal or not. And they will probably decide either it's worth the gamble because they can't add to it. You never know your luck. Or they'll go, it's not worth the risk. Take the 6 points. That is 14 points less than the Premier League were wanting.
Yeah,
I think that's like getting told to go home for the afternoon at school instead of getting expelled. Take the lesser punishment. Don't throw yourself in.
I think you got a fair point there, bud. I think the interesting thing about it is I think Nick DeMarco obviously is the guy we normally bring in, and he's very good at this sort of stuff, right? I think the club's got two angles here they can pursue. Number one is like, okay, we get through this Birmingham game at the weekend. If we lose and it doesn't look good, right? There is a chance we're going to get relegated to League One. Maybe it's worth appealing it anyway, even if there is an increase in points, because we might be relegated anyway, just with the severity of where the club is right now. Not an ideal situation. The other thing they can do is they can challenge the legality of these points deductions being handed out to us, because I do believe that actually in the court of arbitration there is a chance Leicester could win a case there, but it does really pretty much say your rules are wrong and they're unenforceable, which would be a complete catastrophe for the Premier League and EFL if they lost that case, right? Which then also creates the war problem and keeps the war going. So I think it's a very difficult situation. It also goes back to things like the £200 million worth of players that we allow to walk on free transfers. There seems to be so many little sliding doors moments. I'd even go back to, Brad, when Chelsea sold their hotel and their women's team. We could have done the same in that time, and it would have affected the finances at that time if we'd been more switched on, right? So there's things that are done.
Yeah, it is funny you say that, because later in that statement that Leicester talk about way more in depth, and I think it's on the BBC website. It's funny you mentioned Chelsea in that aspect, because Chelsea got done for selling the women's team, because they said, no, that's a thing. You can't just sell it to yourself. That's not right. You can't do that. You can sell it. You can sell it, but he was selling it to himself, essentially. His own other company was buying it, and to be fair, the Premier League did pull him up on that. However, it is funny you say that, because Leicester do mention that whilst, in a way, what they're saying is, technically, your maths is right, but you're not accounting for this. And they are talking add-backs, which add-backs of what? That's not in the statement. They're obviously holding some cards close to their chest in case they do appeal. But they also said that they have not taken into consideration the money that was used for the women's football, which the Premier League acknowledge is an asset of the club. So they have not apparently, and again, I don't know how much it would be, Tom. Maybe you can look at the article on BBC and see if you can find a little snippet. I'm sure it was that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was that, where Leicester's response was basically that they had add-backs not included in their decision in terms of tallying it all up, their expenditures, and also the money that was brought in by owning their own women's team. So that's where Leicester will look at to see if they can logically have an appeal. Because, like I said, it's funny you bring up Chelsea using their hotels and trying to use the women's team as a source of dodging any fines, which, of course, they could have breached 400 million and probably only get a £20 fine. But
Well, they did, yeah.
it is there for Leicester to look into. And again, Leicester like to look at a contract. Saul Goodman in disguise. I say it again. So we will see. But I'd like to get into a position where if the outcome stays as it is, we beat Birmingham, we beat whoever we play after Birmingham, and it's right back where we were, sort of thing. And you know, maybe results start to improve. That's what really I'm more worried about than this points deduction is the performance on the pitch, because 6 points is nothing if we get on a run, but it's everything if we continue the Marty aftermath flux of win some, lose 4, win some, lose 4.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this feel a little bit like a kick in the gonads to me today, because it kind of feels like they've picked the time when the club is already suffering a little bit, right? You know, and it's that thing of, like you say, looking at the last 2 performances, Brad, you know, Oxford and Charlton, you kind of think it doesn't look like we can get 3 points from anywhere at our worst right now, right? So 6 points does seem a hard margin, and you know, it can all add on, can't it, into a very difficult way. I think there is a gamble element to this for the football club, and the main outcome is we've got to stay in the Championship this year, or at least if Top still believes, like people have said, making the playoffs. Yeah, okay, fine, but we can't get relegated to League One, because the thing is, then this financial problem only extrapolates for the next year, because as has been brought up in the chat as well, this only goes up to the year when we got promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. This is not the year afterwards, which is coming next, right? So there is a chance we could face further deductions if we didn't meet our PSR obligations for that one. But that's where the complication of the rolling thing comes into me, because you mentioned it as well, right? The add-ons and that not being included. Technically right now, and I know it's actually not in this period, but it's a good example. The Bilal El Kanous deal is guaranteed money to come into us. So when can we account that as being in the football club? He's technically on a loan, but it's a guaranteed money. He's going to sign the deal at the end of the season. So that's what makes the complication here, why I think it's actually pretty difficult for the EFL and Premier League to enforce it, because like I say, it's moving posts all the time. And then we get back to the question of, do we want to fight them because they will come back after us again, or do we just want to take it? And I think, like you, it's a case for me of, if it's 6 points and we stay up this year, it's not a problem. If it's 6 points and it would lead to us going down, I would fight it till the end of the world, because the Championship revenue drops to League One is half again, right? You know, and that is a hell of a drop.
And probably more, to be fair. The only thing that works for Leicester is, you'd imagine, whether this is the last one or the potential for another one is the case, it surely will be the last one, because we've done no money, financial transfer spend apart from wages. And even then, although probably not to a modest degree, you know, I know we've brought in Aribo, who is on 70 grand a week, so it's like you've changed one for one. But realistically, we've actually got rid of about, I can't work it out, but Samare was on 80 grand a week, and Wout Faze was probably on 50 to 60 grand a week anyway. Add that up over the time period, that's got to be at least 10 million. We're probably not spending that on the short-term deal for Lascelles. We're not spending that on the 18 and 20-year-old, because they'll be on like 10, 15 grand.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, man. I think actually the transfer business we've done with it, you convert the wages over. I think actually Sumari alone probably covered the wages of the 2 young chaps and the Salas, you know, on his own. So,
and we have to also know that there is an undisclosed fee for Samara. Now, that's probably pittance to a pence. It might not even get as close to 4 million, let alone anything. You know, we're not talking 15 million here for a deal. But then we also have potentially more likely Harry Winks' wage bill coming off next year as well. So where will Leicester account for that? Because they'll say, well, hold on, we actually recoup a lot of revenue. So I'd imagine the worst case scenario, we maybe start next season on -3, -6 points. If that was to, I've got a strong feeling this will be the end of it, because I think Leicester are very confident with that El Kanous deal. That as long as he actually does transfer over, they'll be more than fine with the ins and outs there. And then you look at our business this season and go, well, where could any further implications go? If anything, our revenue, our financial state will not talking bolt right up and suddenly we'll be back to spending big money, but it'll be like, oh, hello, there's that little in the black sort of thing. It might be by like £1,101, something daft like that, but it will be on the side where we're kind of going, okay, so now we clear out some more. We might actually have the issues these players you mentioned are not going to be. Yeah, but there will be, Scott, because it's over a 3-year period. It's a 3-year cycle.
Yeah, can I quickly jump in there? I think that's the point which makes it confusing, right? Is where do you classify a 3-year cycle? Because the word rolling is throughout all of their terminology, right? But rolling for me doesn't stop at 3 years. It's a rolling process, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive how they word it a little bit. But I would say then from this, what we're seeing today as a deduction, I would say, right, that puts a firm line of a 3-year rolling period up until that point, which means you restart for that year we were in the Premier League, right? If that's how it, but is that actually the case, like we say? Because if that is the case, Brad, and there is that line there, I'd agree with you. I don't think there will be any more sanctions. I can't see how the way the club has kind of tried to completely U-turn this year in particular, which would be part of this 3-year cycle, how we can't actually be meeting PSR obligations. I would even argue at that point, bear in mind how we've literally brought in loan players only, got as many players off the wage books as we can. Unfortunately, Winks is still there because of the wage side of it, not a personal thing, but it's a big wage. I think then you'd have to argue, well, these rules are completely backwards, because what else can we do? You literally are putting us in a position where you're saying you're going to get relegated to League One because of the financial rules that you've not adhered to, which is counterintuitive because it damages the finances of the football club in the long term as well, right? I think it's really, really a really murky situation here. Clibbo's just saying we need 2.5 million Smile to get in line. Just want to quickly pop back here, Brad, and bring something up here that Paul just said. Will we learn from this? I think not. I mean, okay, so this was 2 times. The last time we're in the Championship, we're getting sanctioned for, right, in that promotion up to the Premier League, right? We've seen a change this time, Brad. Do you think the club is going to learn from this now? Do you think we've shown we're learning from this now? And what else do you think, mate, we could do better going forward?
I think they have learned from this. And I actually think that the club, obviously, we're going to fight this tooth and nail as they have done, and it looks like they may potentially continue to fight it. We will surely find out soon enough. I'm not sure on the timescale they have to appeal, so we will know quicker than Plymouth away next Tuesday. You know what I mean? On next season, you know what I mean? We won't find out halfway through next season that we're going to, because they won't give us 6 points back, will they? They'll just, they'll give us some money back, won't they? As a but I think the thing is, and I totally understand it. I totally understand every single fan's frustrations with it, because I share the same frustrations with you of how the club's been ran for the last 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 seasons.
Goes back to when we let Tillemans walk on a free transfer for me. That's when it started going wrong.
Back before then, though. It goes back to when Brendan Rodgers went on holiday thinking, and he came out and said this in a statement. I'm not going to correctly quote him, but from basic logic of his statement when he was talking about his time ending at Leicester, he went into the owners and went, right, I've had an end of season meeting with me scouting crew. We know the areas we want to strengthen, but the main thing I want to know right now, before I go and get my suitcase packed and get my passport checked, is can I definitely activate, when it comes to it, can we definitely activate our buying clause on Adam Lookman? And the ownership went, yeah, but really they went, I fucking don't know, I hope so. Can we sort something out? Because we fucking said yes, no. And he came back, went on his holidays, sun in, beer in one hand, wife in the other, knowing him or whatever, on the beach, having the time of his life, came back in, he's like, hey, where's Loopman then? Get him on the phone, get him in. And they kind of went, about your budget and about Loopman. So that was the season it really started to fall apart. And it was probably given to them as like a warning then, that because, again, going even further back than that, Tom, Susan Whelan gave the whole, Champions League. But Brendan was told European football would find. So they did put their eggs in one basket, hoping Leicester would keep that top 4 run to suffice for this overspend that they had, because the big fallout between Europa League earnings and Champions League is astronomical. If you talk about championship, it's like Premier League and League One in difference of earnings.
I think in the Champions League, if you win a game, it's like £1.1 million. In the Europa League, it's $500,000. It's $500,000 in Europa League.
Yeah, but the what you get for it is completely different. The thing is, you know what they say. You can't just have a bad period and then sunshine and roses the next morning. When you're going through a bad period in your life, you don't just have it all happen at once and then the next day it's all sunshine and roses. It can go on for months. It can go on for years. It can go on for a while. And even though you're doing everything you can to go through it, people sometimes prejudge you and they go, lazy. Look at him, not doing anything to change his life. And really, you're working really hard behind the scenes. You know you've fucked up. You know you've screwed your life up a bit. And the owner's probably thinking, we know we've missed a boat. We know we've actually shot ourselves in the foot. We've messed this club up now. All our hard work, and we're undoing it. We've got to try and fix it. I said this a few months ago before, when the points deduction was going to be 10 points, 12 points, 15 points and more.
Which it could have been.
As we know, it's for 20, right? And I said, we won't know if the ownership is genuinely going to dig its heels in and learn from this and rise from the ashes, the phoenix that is the Foxes of Leicester, again, and bring the good times back until 2030. 4 years now from that. I said this is probably the start of the season, so 2025. I said you won't know until 5 years' time, because if this is the last season they get charged and they don't get any more, we don't magically have 300 million.
No, we can't do what Chelsea do and then just charge the women's team at 225 million. Yeah,
you know what? Whether we stay up or not, do you know what's going to happen? Deadwood will leave, high wages will leave, more loanies and free signings.
Yeah, so it will bring the whole cost down.
Yeah, because James Jordan, who is by actually quite a really good midfielder, but would we have got him if Rennes turned around and went, yeah, you can have him on loan, but his obligation to buy is 25 million. We'd have just have him on loan then.
No, we wouldn't have had him.
We have an option to buy him for 4 million that we're taking that deal on.
Yeah, exactly. Just to read here, I've got it up, guys. So about the appeal process, right? Football clubs typically have 14 days to appeal a decision made by an independent commission regarding Premier League profit and sustainability rules, which is technically because they were broken in the Premier League, right? So the deadline is once the commission issues a judgment, both the club and the Premier League have 14 days to file an appeal. So we got 14 days from today, which will take us to the 19th of February, right? So we have got a couple of games perhaps to have a look at this. An appeal is heard by a new separate 3-person commission. So once again, it goes to a different place. It's not the same lot looking at it. The decision made by the appeal board is final and no further appeals are committed, including to the Court of Arbitration. So that's interesting. So if the club wanted to take it to the Court of Arbitration, that technically wouldn't be an appeal to inside the same process. It would be taking it elsewhere, right? So I think that is very interesting in the whole thing. But yeah, right. Let's have a quick look at the league table, guys, and let's see what this does for us, right? I mean, it's a bit small, but you can see it's been updated already there. Look, we have dropped to 20th now as a result of the points coming off. We were worried we'll be in the relegation zone. We currently aren't heading into this weekend. And of course, there will be the prediction show tomorrow night, so it'll be intriguing to see what predictions are, especially for Blackburn, West Brom and Oxford, teams down below us, going into what is going to be a big weekend for us now on the back of this. But
we're going to smash Birmingham in vengeance of this.
Oh, we hope so. They've gone out. And do you know what's hilarious about this, guys? We're playing a team that obviously is doing very well commercially right now. They've gone out and spent £16 million in the January transfer window. 16 million, and we're going to be facing that. It's almost like it's a bit of like, really bad karma, isn't it, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, Brad, here about Scott's made a good question. Do you think we'll be able to move forward by approaching lower level boardroom personnel? I mean, to slightly tweak that question, Scott, I mean, we've had our moans about John Rudkin, right? And obviously Susan Whelan departed the club earlier in the season. She was highly respected amongst, a lot of the more elder Leicester players and, people in the club. Do we think a lot of this is actually down to the fact there's been too much to do? I'm not just trying to say, well, get John Rudkin off the loop here, but it seems he's been left in charge of a lot of different departments that have slowly been falling away a little bit as well, right? So where do we put accountability for this? I mean, like we've sort of generally pushed around it a little bit. I mean, I'm very much in the boat of I think the rules are utter BS. I think that by design, like if they were being carried out the way they should be carried out, then Chelsea should have been relegated from the Premier League for a £400 million overspend. They should not have been allowed to sell their things to themselves. And ironically, UEFA agreed and gave them a bit of a fine and said the Premier League was wrong and they had failed. So I find it remarkable how different things are giving out different answers, right? So I do believe the whole process is BS and needs to be changed by something a bit better. If that will be with SCR, now we're going to have 80% of max spending for Premier League clubs. I don't really know, but it does suggest to me that if you're Manchester United or Chelsea, you still get a major advantage, right? Which is the point. But okay, but Brad, let's pick a side here, mate. I mean, like, because other fans who aren't Leicester fans are going to be looking at us, like you say, and giving us like a lot of like, "Hey, well, they finally got Leicester, well done to you," sort of thing. When in some ways it's stones and glass houses, because you could be the next ones if you've got an unlucky relegation or all the rest of it. Where do you sit on this, mate? Are you very much this is the club's fault, or are you very much these rules are completely up the creek?
Thing is, mate, it doesn't matter what I think of the rules. The rules are the rules. Do I think they're a crock of shit? Yeah, of course they're a crock of shit. I'll say one country's name and don't get PTSD about war here, but Germany. The Bundesliga, now they have something. Now I could say the number's wrong, but is it like 50-1 rule they have where their wage cap is basically? I'm not saying that bottom of the league could offer the same wage as Bayern Munich, but Bayern Munich are capped at what they can offer a wage-wise, so all clubs can say because what we find as well. Let's get down to brass tacks, right? You see all the time on social medias where someone puts up a red pill, blue pill scenario. Sign for Man City for $3 million a year, sit on the bench, or sign for Crystal Palace for $1 million a year, be a first team player. Most actual players are going to choose the $3 million because money's money, right? Let's have it straight.
Power of agents as well. The agents now have so much power.
The agents as well. So for me, the rules are a crock of shit, but I don't want to go down that 50-1 thing with Germany, but that's something we should be taking from it going forward. So that 80% is don't matter now. Your wage cap is 150 grand a week you can offer most players. That should be the rule throughout. There should be a bar set, flat line it throughout. But anyway, the rules might be a crock of shit, mate, but the club knew the rules. Now, whether it's fair or not that Leicester, Everton and Forest and other clubs in between that have been sanctioned and some have gone completely out of existence and have to start again because of the rules, and whether we agree, which we do agree, that teams like Chelsea and Man City get away scot-free because they're the love children of the Premier League, is beside the point. If anything, whether it's right or wrong, and whether you agree with the rules or you definitely fucking shouldn't, teams like Leicester and Palace, I know they're not involved in it, but I saw them in the comments. The Forest, the Palace, the Brightons, they have to be extra careful because Leicester probably have one of the better lawyers out of that bunch to kind of tie it up in litigation for as long as it has. But we're not going to win in all these cases. We're not going to get swept under the rug. We're not going to magically turn 75 of the charges into small individual fines throughout the thing and shake hands and take the brown envelopes with us sort of thing. We're going to have to take the punishment to the letter of the law. So irregardless of what you think of the rules, the ownership takes it.
Okay.
The ownership takes it because whether they delegate certain areas that have affected these the blots on our record with the PSR rulings, it's top that signs off on it.
And you could definitely tell in his interview, right, what he said was that they were not expecting the relegation from the Premier League and they were a bit naive, weren't they, Brad? Would you agree with that?
fucking naive. They weren't expecting us to bottle top four. Let me correct that. They weren't expecting us to not maintain top four, because I don't like it when people say we bottled top four. I think you're seeing just how difficult it is to maintain that top four challenge with the infinite money spending of at least four teams in that, i.e. Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. You know, even Manchester United, if you say Arsenal that have only just recently started to spend money, right? So it wasn't a bottom of that, but they should be prepared. I have a very good saying that I live by in these situations, and I kind of got, when I got asked about our points deduction, someone said, "Oh, what are you expecting?" But I said, I prepare for the worst, and I'm pleasantly surprised when it's better than I thought it would be, which is how I feel about this situation. I feel that I was expecting the worst, but I'm pleasantly surprised we didn't. So why didn't, top prepare when you got to start the season? What gave him the implication before them seasons got started? What gave him that positive feeling to think we could get European football? Okay, then why don't you plan for a top 10 finish and then be pleasantly surprised when we finish 5th? Because if we do that, Tom, you know, I don't understand the naivety that he thought we wouldn't get relegated. The squad was burnt out. They started having other ambitions. The Tottenhams and Newcastles were already getting a clause in ready to take Barnes and Maddison offers. Tielemans had about as much interest in playing for Leicester as a gay bloke would
in a straight bar.
Yeah, in a straight bar. You know, what I mean? He's got no interest in any of these guys that are all after women. So I don't understand how he didn't think, next season we're going to have no money to spend, but I expect us to stay up. No, the squad are going to find out. The squad are going to down tools. The squad's effort rating is going to go down. You should have prepared by instead of telling the fans and basically the manager at 11 o'clock on a match day on the last day of the transfer window when we play Man U at home that we haven't got a pot to piss in, you maybe should have turned around in that first day back, or even ruined his holiday and rang him and gone, yeah, you need to sell. Don't let people take the piss out of you, Brendan. If Tielemans is an hour him out the door. Maddison might not want to go, but if Tottenham are going to keep pushing, let's get 50 million for him. At least then you will have some fundage to go. And guess what? We wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I mean,
it's a joke that we're celebrating only 6 points being taken off us.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I completely get where you're coming from. I mean, like, the way the club comes across is that, like, they were surprised they failed. I mean, but here's the interesting thing. I mean, I'm leaning very much to I think the rules are wrong. And the reason why is because the only actual loss we have had, the club has been able to cover. It's not put the club in financial distress because the owners have paid it. Now they wouldn't make those sort of losses because obviously they haven't got the money because things have changed, right? We're seeing a few comments here. West Ham will be pooing themselves if they go down this season. Even Newcastle are saying very close to danger. I'd argue Crystal Palace right now, who are going through this thing where their manager's going to walk at the end of the season. They were forced to sell Gahey, which obviously upset the apple cart completely.
As well, Jesus Christ.
I mean, that I think the rules have completely derailed Crystal Palace Football Club, and that is entirely against the point. If Crystal Palace now next year end up getting relegated, not this year probably because they're going to be out of the trouble, right? But next year get relegated, you can look back to this season and the financial side of it, which is completely extrapolated in favour of the Big Six, as being the main reason they got relegated. Because then they could have kept Gahey and they would have kept their manager happy. Yeah, he would have walked on a free transfer at the end of the season, but they would have made that decision and still found a way to get around it because they would have had the right support. And we're still seeing clubs go out of business. We're still seeing bad owners in the EFL, which is kind of part of the point of the rules as well. I think their way to try and get in a grip of this is utterly shocking. I think if they did the job properly, Chelsea should have been relegated from the Premier League for failing PSR because the points they would have got would have estimated over 45 points that they had knocked off for being over 400 million over, right? Rather than 20 million like we were. I'd do the maths, guys. It's incredible, right? I think what this is doing is ultimately the snake is going to to eat its own tail and then work out it's eaten itself when it gets down the line, because we're going to end up in a similar situation to the French league, where the French league now has got one club completely dominating and a couple other ones just hanging on to the coattails behind as they find it more and more difficult. And it'll kill the competition to the points where it kills ratings, because eventually if there's no competition in it, yes, you've got the top 6 clubs and their supporters all having a jolly, everyone else will back away, and then the French division, like it ended up with no TV deal. They've managed to get one now, but it's not anywhere near the money they need. And then the money dries up, right? And it causes big problems. So I'm very much that I think the club's got a lot of things wrong. I don't think there's any intention to get this wrong. I think they ran it really, really to the wind, and they should have run it a little bit better. But there is also that argument of, in that circumstance, that relegation wasn't foreseen. And if we hadn't gone down that year, we'd have passed this easily. We'd have actually been in profit. We could have spent some more looking at the actual figures. So I'm very much, I think these rules are utter bollocks. Get what you think in the chat, guys. Would you looking at this as a football fan go, is this Leicester, or is this the rules are wrong anyway? But Brad, I'm trying to think what else we can go through here. I mean, I see what else we got in the chat. Was that the magic of Brendan Rodgers being able to whisper sweet nothings at the top here and say how amazing this team was, or where he wants the team to be? Could very well be. I think there was a lot of confidence in the manager at the time, because under Nigel Pearson, right, Brad, we'd had this, hadn't we, where he had shown such a good leadership. They put a lot of trust in Nigel, and they did the same with Brendan. Unfortunately for Brendan, towards the end, I think especially after that Forest FA Cup game, it all fell off a cliff a bit, didn't it? Scott's got a good thing here. Should Chelsea and Man City especially be given the same situation that Juventus and Glasgow Celtic had under their own issues? Am I guessing you mean when Juventus got relegated for match fixing?
There was AC Milan as well in that situation, and it wasn't Glasgow Celtic; it was Glasgow Rangers.
Yes, it was.
We dropped down to the second tier,
third.
Yeah, it was the S. I was thinking it was the S.
It's called League One, isn't it? Like our one, it's like the third division.
Back then it was SPL 2, because you had SPL 1 and SPL, but now it is the Cinch or something like that, League One or whatever it's called. Anyway, but yeah, they're essentially the third tier they were relegated down to. The problem is, right, I tell you what, actually, I'm going to throw it out as not a problem. Maybe us fans were duped into stopping the best thing that could happen to the Premier League.
Okay, which is?
Letting them lot fuck off to the Super League.
I completely agree with you, mate. They'd kill themselves in a Super League, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would, because eventually, seeing Real Madrid and Man City in a Champions League semi-final, group stage game, or even a final is exciting. Seeing Chelsea, take on Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, them clubs, seeing them once a season, potentially, play each other, it's exciting. Especially when your team's not playing and there's nothing else on the fucking telly, right? You want to stick something on. Well, Barcelona versus Chelsea is happening, or you've got Man City versus Real Madrid. Bayern Munich versus whoever.
You can have too much for a good thing, can't you?
You can.
That's why I don't drink as much as I used to.
Just look at Augustus Gloop. You can eat too much of the same stuff and you get bloated and overweight and you're done with it. It makes you sick. Right?
I literally had a friend of mine who used to work in a chocolate factory, true story, and they got sick of chocolate. So you're right. Yeah,
and my point is their plans were, we're going to play a game over here and a game over there. Which, you know what happens in the first season? You're 90,000 in your American stadium. You're 90,000 in your Abu Dhabi. You're 90,000 in wherever you're taking it. Not a problem, mate. Always willing to do the help and enjoy your pint of Thatcher's Gold, mate. I'm sure that's what he's drinking. He hasn't confirmed or denied it. It's like a rumour. But my point is there, right? For the first year, maybe even two, if they blockaded it, because you'd have to split it into like a Scottish split where you do 2 seasons essentially in one, because there's only 12 teams in that thing, right? You might get 90,000, but then the fad dies.
Yeah, exactly.
And the 90,000 becomes 40,000. And then what you start, what were they going to do to bring in the crowds then? Start having WrestleMania returns where it's like, by God, it's Roy Keane. He's got the briefcase and he's hit the referee in the middle. You can't make it entertaining because it's lost its spark. So maybe we should have let them clubs piss off, and then in 5 years' time, they'd come back to the Premier League. Can you let us in, please? And then we'd have gone, yeah, certainly. The EFL is that way, and you want to go down 4 divisions to the Vanarama.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Who we got Saturday, Chris? Quickly, it's Birmingham, mate. And they've only lost once at home all season. So wish us luck.
May I just say, I already have a positive for the Birmingham game.
Oh right, we might as well chuck it out there, mate. Go on, let's have something positive today.
I will chuck it down. We at least will not be losing until 3:02.
Yes, and why is that?
3:01 because of the 3:01 kickoff time. Because it only takes a minute to reach out and check in on your friends and family. So that's why the minute thing. It's a really good thing to do it. I just wanted to be a little bit, put a smile on everybody's face and saying at least Leicester will go 60 seconds whilst keeping a clean sheet on Saturday. Knowing Leicester's luck, it'll be 3:02 and 4 seconds where Birmingham score from the kickoff. But hey,
I'll dampen it. What worries me is they've worked out Damari Gray is very hit and miss, mostly miss. They've gone out and bought a left winger for £8 million from Spain. So I think that's something we're going to have to look forward to then. But yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap this up a bit, Brad, because I mean, we can go around in circles about, the club and the rules and all the rest of it. And I mean, let's think about the ramifications of this quickly here. I mean, relegation to League One. I mean, get it in the chat. I mean, how do you feel right now as well? Do you think we are going to get relegated? Let's have an absolute yes or no. I'm going to lean towards no, because I think we will appeal it. And I think the appeal hopefully might get us out of a situation if we are in it. And hopefully we'll do something on the pitch. But then if we do go to League One, Brad, I mean, halving the revenue again, it feels to me like we could then get slammed with another points deduction next year where we were trying to get in line with the Championship's rules. Do you know what I mean? Because of the financial difference. I mean, isn't that a huge red flag for you about how this is being run as well, mate? And I mean, do you think we're going to go down?
I don't think we're going to go down, but I will entertain the possibility that we do. And I know people say, oh, Brad, you can't be that confident we'll go down. Well, I am for one reason, and that is I genuinely think, unlike TalkSport Tosspot, i.e. Connor Cody, yeah, I love it, mate. You got to have a bit of imagination from me around.
When Brad's on the channel, it's Hulkamania running wild, isn't it? Or Bradamania.
Let me tell you something, brother. The reason Leicester aren't going to go down is unlike TalkSport Tosspot Cody, we actually have a guy who isn't reading off a script in Jamal Lascelles. He is, I know he's 32. I know he's injury prone, right? But he is to Newcastle what Wes Morgan was to us. He might not have played every week. He might not have been fit to play for most of the seasons. But I guarantee that Jamal Lascelles will get that dressing room going and he will not allow them to sulk and piss themselves when it comes to a battle. He will turn around and go, oh, Harry Winks talking about Seville again, are you? See the motorway, mate. Off you go. Because I've already asked. Don't tell me you're going to go cry. I've already told him you're a knob, mate. Get out. Again, I'm just being facetious because that's something that was rumoured to have been the reason why he's been out of the squad and his lead target. But we actually have a dressing room leader. We don't have clapping steel Ricardo. Take the captaincy off him, give it to Jamal Lascelles for 4 months. Give it him now. Give him the captaincy. In fact, I'd have had him the captaincy arriving at the training ground going, here, sign for Leicester, please. Thanks very much. And that's the only reason I say staying up. But how we go down, I think the fact that we haven't spent anything this transfer window and we will have the money from El Canoes coming in and we will then probably get 20 million for Monga. We will probably get 5 million for Mavididi. We'll probably get 20 million for Fatawu. We'll be the Birmingham equivalent of Rich, if not more, in that division, where if we keep hold of a Jake Evans, because he's going out alone and he won't be in the eye as much for Premier League sides, we promote, keep the likes of Ben Nelson, who maybe have that born and bred commitment to the club, maybe Jakub as well. I know he wasn't born and bred, but he was imported into our academy system, has gone through the ladder. Who knows? I remember 2009, mate. It ended up being the best thing that happened to us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'd love to see us stave off relegation, and I think we will, and then the rebuild starts in the Championship. But sometimes destiny has a funny old way of doing things. The Watford playoff heartache. Watford nearly went down that following season. Remind me what Leicester did again?
Top of the league.
Top of the league and absolutely
Record.
whipped it because of Burnley and QPR. And the rest, as I say, is history in terms of what we did over the next 2 seasons there, at least. So, once I am fairly confident, I'm just as confident in us staying up, despite how it's been this season, as I am if we go down, it won't affect us financially in the terms of another points deduction.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, mate. That's good to hear. I mean, I agree with you. I think the club has been so frugal this year. I'd find it very hard to take if we did get relegated and we got snapped with another points deduction here. I think Scott's raised a good point here. Do you think something like this, Brad, off the pitch actually galvanises the club on the pitch? I mean, because for me, I was talking about this to Wayne and Jim and earlier on, and I was just sort of saying it really puts me off football, this. It takes my love of the game away because it almost feels like everything going on with the game is about money or about this. And the on-pitch product of it seems to be less and less important because of all the noise going on elsewhere. I mean, can you see this actually being something the players can use to galvanise them on the pitch, mate? Like the world's against us?
Yeah, I think that is something where, and again, I put it back to I reckon someone, and if you've seen Ted Lasso, you'll know the Believe logo sort of thing. And more 90s football. I was actually watching a video before we went live. It was Frank Sinclair. We all remember big Frank Sinclair, the own goal specialist for that season. But he talks about Martin O'Neill and how he bigged him up and how he made a big deal of him. And that, Frank Sinclair even said, I went away and I got offered on a motorway. I went, wait, he didn't even tell me what I was getting paid. Like, he was so invested in what Martin O'Neill said. And the reason I kind of want to combine that story and Ted Lasso is, and again, I know he's only just walked through the door, but if I was Jamal Lascelles, to really stamp my authority in that dressing room as I'm the chief leader, we're going to fucking do this, give Ella the Believe symbol in Ted Lasso. It's not spoiling anything you haven't, but if you haven't, please go and watch Ted Lasso. It's fucking brilliant.
It's one of the best TV shows made in the past 20 years.
And they're bringing out another season, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm well hyped for that.
With the women's team. He's in the women's team.
Well, no, but it's supposed to be the men's because the advert came out that it is going to be the men's following on. I think they scrapped that idea because it got a bit...
Oh, good. Yeah, good.
I'm all for women's football, as you know. I'm an avid follower. Yeah. But I am glad that they're keeping it back to the...
Yeah, it wouldn't have fit the story. We could talk about Ted Lasso and give it a review if you want. No, carry on, mate.
We could do. Maybe we'll see if Crystal let us do it one time. But I think Lascelles should go, look at that, lads. They couldn't take us being successful. And now we're at the bottom. They want to kick a dying dog, as the expression is. They want to kick us when we're down. Roll these up, lads. Let's go out there and let's fucking work hard. Let's do this. Let's get out there. To be fair, you're not wrong. He couldn't. Ted Lasso couldn't do that if he tried. I mean, football is life is what we need right now. But that's what we need. I'm talking a bit cliche. I'm not saying he's probably not going to do something to that. But we need him to be in there, the dressing room leaders going, let's not stand for this shit. They couldn't give us at the start of the season. We could have known what we're working with. And now we're down in the doldrums. Yeah, that's on us. We haven't played our best. But Birmingham are fucking going to regret it. They're going to wish that they hadn't given us that punishment. Because I don't know about you lot, but shut up, Cody. You're not allowed to speak. I don't mean this literally, but we're baying for blood. I had to throw Cody in because he completely cocked up Andy King's chances of doing anything.
But he shut the bed, didn't he? Shut the bed.
Do that. You need them to go, come on then. You want to try and take us down? Well, and it shouldn't take that to have kicked us into gear this season, but here we are. Let's hope it does.
Yeah. Just a quick one from Ray. Can we afford the drop in Ray to League One? We just covered that before you got in, Ray, actually. We just sort of said, between me and Brad, we think because of the cutbacks, because we know certain players are going to be going this summer, I think we would be all right, but it's still not a very good situation because...
We won't have a load of money to spend.
No.
Probably find that sales that are pending, i.e. Canoes, and that will mean the rebuild can be a la 2009, as in we promote from within and probably have more of a connected unit, though, would we not?
Yeah, well, I think in some ways we've wanted to set fire to the football club and start again for a while now, haven't we? And in some ways, like you say, life is working in magical ways where it might happen, which is kind of interesting. We've already conceded more goals this season than we did the season we got relegated to League One. Although, to be fair, that season, ironically, we didn't concede that many. We just couldn't score.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
We mostly lost 1-0 all the time, didn't we?
Although if we are to mirror 2009, we need to think of a striker that was reasonably okay for a couple of seasons that he was with us and is now 10 years older. Because that would be our Paul Dickoff in the division, wouldn't it? I mean, the only one I could think of that maybe would fit that script would be Ian Atcho, and I can't see him leaving Celtic to come to us. So maybe we can't exactly match it, but
yeah. No, fair enough. What do you think of this question, Brad? I think this is a good question again from Scott here. I mean, does this change the club's plans now? I mean, because I guess in some ways they're anticipating a deduction. Like you said, we read the statement and they will probably appeal it from what the statement is suggesting here. But do you think it'll make them rethink their decision-making on who's to come in next? I mean, do we now need to really go, well, survival is key no matter what happens with appeals or all the rest of it. So do we need to go out there now and just short-term get in someone who can keep us in this division? Or do you think they'll still plough along with a long-term plan?
No, well, what's the point? If you do that, you're almost admitting there's a more chance of you going down and staying up. You look at Wolves; they've probably done the right thing. You know, you could argue that Wolves have had a 8 out of 10 transfer window because they've brought in a lot of money with the sale of Strand Larson, but they've freely admitted with their season that they are going to, you know, to be a championship side next season. So they've recruited within their means on that basis. The fan base aren't fooled at all. They're fairly happy that if Ron Edwards can keep chipping away and getting some points here and there, they go down with a bit of a fight, that they'll be already preset for next season.
Yeah.
I say this now. I want Leicester to do one of two things. And the first one really depends on the next two results and performances and maybe even how we line up, etc. One is we give it Andy King until the end of the season. He keeps us up. We go after Mark Robbins from Stoke.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout because he was interested as well.
He was. The other one is we stick down the former Foxes line and we make the move now. Gary Rowett in for the long-term plan, because what he did at Birmingham was he picked him up from a similar sort of position and pushed him up to the playoffs, and then they were drugged in their sleep and hypnotised into believing Rooney was a good manager, so they sacked him. And Rooney, and we all know what happened to them now. Obviously, they've recovered from that pretty swiftly, but I would go and either trust Andy King to it. And again, that depends on what happens against Birmingham and our following opponents, if he's given that time. Because if it goes horribly wrong against Birmingham, he's not going to... I'm not getting in somebody of the championship equivalent of Sam Allardyce, because that then means you're laying all your cards on going, okay, well, we're paying this guy a championship wage because he promises he could keep us up. We're now in League One and haven't got it. Oh, shut up, user. You salt tears. Probably a Cov fan. I'm pretty sure you are. But I'm going to do that for you, Tom. I'm going to do that for you because you little tiny micro, you know what you've got there. Enjoy bottling the title and playoff crying tears. But bye-bye. See you later.
I love your attitude to that. I wasn't going to kick him out. I was just going to very kindly remind him that Leeds will probably face PSR challenges themselves.
I don't care who he is. I don't care what he supports. Whether it's Coventry or Leeds or wherever. go and rage bait elsewhere. Bye.
There's a funny thing in life generally, guys. I mean, we've all experienced it, I'm
Oh.
sure. If you throw stones in glass houses, expect your own windows to be smashed somewhere down the line. It happens to all of us, and the good ones of us learn, don't they, Brad? Here's a good point from Kevin. Kingy will take us down, not a manager. I'll just leave it there for a minute. Do you know what? It wasn't a good start last week, was it? But it was the Akoli sabotaging, wasn't it, really, guys? Here's the interesting thing, right? Looking at the games we've got coming up, right? So we've got Birmingham on Saturday. We've got on Tuesday then at home to Southampton. And then we got FA Cup on the Saturday away at Southampton. And by then, we've got 5 days after that to lodge an appeal. So we got 3 games now to basically have a look and see where we are. I mean, if it looks like we can win, say, get 6 points, maybe that is the 6 points we have covered and we don't have to worry about an appeal. We can just move on with our lives and stop the war, right? But if we lose them, maybe then that we have to go for that appeal decision, right? I mean, this is what makes it interesting, and this is what makes me wonder if this will affect the end of the championship season. Because if we get into a long appeal, or if we do what I suspect the club might do, is they might even go left field, and if they are going to do anything, they'll get a solicitor involved potentially. I mean, I don't know, it's speculation, but just looking from past the way the club has done these things, they've gone to the arbitration court, which is a different process from this, right? I think then it does put the end of the championship season in a bit of jeopardy here. I mean, Brad, there's a big part of me, mate, that really thinks the EFL are just trying to shut us up here, right? Do you think do you think that, like, with that being said, like, they can end up with a lot of egg on their face here if we do appeal them? Because it really does feel to me like the end of the championship season could be up for debate, and if there's an appeal going on, because they've issued a deduction now. If it could be taken off and we're in the relegation zone, it's going to throw a lot of clubs' plans up in the air, isn't it?
Well, other clubs shouldn't be relying on a points deduction for Leicester to save themselves. They should be good enough on the pitch. At the end of the day, there's already at least going to be one team, and it'll be the team that finishes in our position. 24th, 23rd, in 21st, right? That's the last surviving place.
Yep, 21st. Yep.
I am right. Okay. Point for me, right? Because of Sheffield Wednesday's situation.
Yeah.
No club should be going, Sheffield Wednesday are on -7, because that means there's one less position to fight for. They should be doing it on the pitch, right? Now, whether it's... I'll throw you back to what I said earlier. Realistically, Tom, we can say, it might disrupt someone's plans. Well, no, they shouldn't be on 27 points after this amount of games and 4 points adrift of safety as it is. That Leicester should be... Who is he? Oh, is he our lawyer? We had
he's the guy that argued that we were outside the Premier League jurisdiction and won the case.
Yeah, but the problem is they've changed because of that. They've now changed the wording of the law to make it suit the exploit that he found. My point is, if we were good enough this season, we could be talking about how we should be. Realistically, no matter what your targets and expectations were for Leicester this season, some were obviously thinking it'd be easy. I was one of them that was very measured and thought top 10. We should be talking about Leicester have dropped from 6th, 7th, 8th down to 10th, 11th, 12th.
Yeah, totally.
Not that we've dropped a goal difference keeping us outside the relegation zone.
Yeah, I think it's unacceptable that the players who are paid the most in the league don't do the most running. It's as simple as that for me. You've got to hit number one on those things. You're paid the most money. It's a bad look. Yeah,
and for me, I don't think Leicester have that sort of attitude in that boardroom, because they are businessmen, and they've probably been in these positions in the business world equivalent themselves, and thought it. I don't think it'd bother them if Leicester got 9 out of 9 and won the cup game. If they felt they're justified of not having 6 points taken off them, they'll fight it. If they think it's more detrimental and going to cost us more in the long run, and we may get more points taken off us, I think that's when they'll kind of take the L.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I got you. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like Scott said there, we'll wrap up in a bit, Brad. I'll make sure you've got things to do as well. Realistically, what I can work out is there's 6 teams that could drop into relegation places. I do wonder if this year a lot of our luck is going to be from Sheffield Wednesday obviously being in a bit of difficulty. Oxford look like they're about to drift away from this, don't they, as well? 5 points away from, already getting out of the relegation zone. And then there's West Brom, who seem to be an utter mess right now. There's some big games this weekend in the Championship coming up because Oxford are away at Coventry. So you think they're probably not going to get anything there. West Brom are at home to Stoke.
Bottling FC, I know they could get something. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
But what I'm saying is as well, this weekend, like if West Brom lose at home to Stoke, I think ironically, it's not just what we're going to do against Birmingham this weekend that's going to be interesting. If West Brom lose at home to Stoke, who lost 2-0 to Southampton last week, they didn't score because they got these injuries mounted. I think that's a big red flag for West Brom as well. And I'm not even including Blackburn in this equation yet, who've obviously got Norwich. I think they've got Norwich, haven't they, this weekend? Is it Norwich?
Who are flying high.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking a team that looks in the wrong position given their form book. Let me just say it from you in case that those of you with harder vision can't read that. It's green, red, green, green, green.
They've lost to Middlesbrough, and that's pretty much it. And
that's second place. That's sorry. Let me correct that for the salty tears that might be around. That's joint first.
Yeah,
that's joint first. That's 10 times better. Sorry, I just accidentally mentioned the number of points Coventry would clear before they started to bottle this season. Yeah, so one loss against joint first Middlesbrough. That's what I would love to see this club do. I would love this club to now get them players rallied with the players they brought in, with Andy King at their helm, or even if it's Rowett in a couple of weeks' time, or maybe after the Birmingham game. Which I'd still be happy for, with my personal choice, if we went and beat Birmingham, beat Southampton, got ourselves knocked out of the cup because fuck that competition. I know people say money, but right now that's not our focus.
It's not enough money to worry about.
Yeah, at the end of the day, especially these early rounds, I think it's something like you actually don't get anything if you lose in round 5. So what would be the point in beating Southampton just to go and draw Man City away and get battered 5-0?
I think it's only about 25k. Yeah, there's nothing for winning at the moment. Nothing at all.
Yeah, so let's go on a 5-game winning streak in the league and win 5 out of 6 in all competitions. I'm more than happy on that focus.
I think that's a good way to sort of wrap things up, mate. So what we've come to the conclusion after today's show is that we're basically saying we want this to galvanise the team, don't we? We want this to galvanise the group. We want them to go, right, they don't like us, backs against the wall. Let's see that Leicester City. We've joked that we had the hashtag fearless, right? We've also had Foxes never quit before, and we've seen them quit a lot recently, right? It's time for those words to really be met on the football pitch, So, yeah, guys, thank you all very much for being here tonight. A bit of an improv one at the last minute because we decided about 20 minutes before the show started that we were going to obviously change up into the breaking news of the day. So thank you all very much for coming along. Prediction show tomorrow night, Brad. We're not sure if it will be who it'll be with, but you'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, is it, mate?
I will be. I have confirmed that with Chris because I can't do any later tonight. I'm actually pushing it tonight myself. I've got food to do and I've got to do stuff for work tomorrow and all that. So 7 o'clock. I'm sure Chris will either quickly set it up or ask one of us to set it up for him.
I was going to say I might have to set it up for you because I'm not sure if you can, but I can do it if not.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, mate. Either way, 7 o'clock tomorrow, I will message Josh to see if he will be available. He wouldn't have been available tonight because of his work commitment. So if that's the case, it will be me and Tom. Make sure you join us tomorrow, 7 o'clock, where hopefully we'll be a bit more cheerful. We've been fairly optimistic today, haven't we? In terms of the news.
Yes, I was a bit stroppy earlier with the boys because I was like, I hate the EFL, I hate the Premier League, but I've calmed down a bit now.
Yeah, I can tell. Join us back here tomorrow, same time as we started this one, 7 o'clock, and do as Scott says there, if you're new and not a knobhead, like some idiot came in earlier and saying, because you lot are all lovely people, we know you are. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you turn notifications on to all because you might not have got this show tonight if you personalised was the settings on your notifications. It has to be set to all, because sometimes when Chris does an improv show like this, we set it up last minute and you're sat there at 7:20 going, why did I get told that's live? It's because you haven't clicked the notification bell and set it to all. So go and do it. Go on. Before Tom does the outro, go on. We'll give you a minute. Go and click the bell. That's it. You see it says all personalised and none. Click all. That's it. It's done. Well done. Well done.
Well done. Don't forget to hype the video as well, guys, if you can.
Yes, and that.
All right, cheers, guys. See you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.